Okay, today I'm going to talk to you about changes of state. We're going to talk about solids, liquids and gases and the transitions between each one. What's happening to the particles, what's happening to the amount of energy, and what are these key terms called? So, whenever we're thinking about change of state, it's really useful to think about water because the terms that we're using today, we use in our everyday language. So first of all, let's imagine turning from a solid into a liquid. So for example, from ice into water, liquid water. So in order to do that, we need to heat this solid up. We need to give the particles more energy. As we heat this solid, the particles vibrate more. So initially they vibrate more. This is what causes that object to expand slightly. Now, if we give it enough heat energy, enough thermal energy, we're going to give the particles enough energy to overcome the forces between the different particles. So turning from a solid to a liquid, like ice, to water, liquid water, is called melting. So now these particles are free to move. They're no longer in fixed positions. So again, if we wanted to change a liquid to a gas, so i.e. liquid water to steam or water vapour, what we'd have to do is heat up this liquid even more. So again, we're giving it more energy. By giving each particle more energy, we are giving them enough energy to overcome the forces between these different particles. So as a result, we have a process called evaporating. So again, just imagine when you heat up water in a kettle, we're giving those particles so much energy that we see steam coming out of the kettle. Again, evaporating, think of these terms related to water because it really helps us imagine the different names of these changes of state. Now, let's imagine we want to go the other way. Let's say we've got a gas and we want to turn it to a liquid. So instead of giving the particles more energy, we want to give the particles less energy. So essentially, we need to cool them down. So this turning from a gas to a liquid is called condensing. Just like, let's say if you've got out of the shower and there was steam, so water vapour, when it touches the cold mirror, these particles lose energy and they condense, they turn into a liquid. So because the particles lose energy, they start to slow down, they've got less kinetic energy, and they start to, forces get established between the different particles. As those forces increase, it turns from a gas into a liquid. So by removing energy, cooling it down. So the next one we're looking at is between a liquid and a solid. So again, let's imagine the example using water of turning from water, liquid water, into ice. So that process, as we all know, is called freezing. So what we're doing to turn something from a liquid to a solid is we're giving these particles even less energy. If they've got even less energy, they're moving around less, and forces could be established which hold these particles in place in a fixed position. So again, by removing energy, by having even less energy, they turn from a liquid to a solid. So whenever we heat up particles, shown by everything in red here, give them more energy, we have more, each particle has more energy. And it allows them to overcome forces. So it allows them to kind of give them enough energy so they can overcome the forces between these particles here. Whenever we have cooling down, we're giving them less energy. And this means we can establish more forces between the different particles. Now, the final thing I'm briefly going to mention is another change of state. Certain substances can go straight from a solid to a gas. That process is called sublimation. So, just to summarise, to change state from a solid to a liquid is called melting. You give the particles more energy. To turn a substance from a liquid to a gas is called evaporating. Again, you give the particles more energy and these forces are overcome and the particles are spread out. In order to turn a gas to a liquid, it's called condensing, and you need to give particles less energy by cooling it down. We start to get more force between the particles. And finally, to turn from a liquid to a solid is called freezing. Again, less energy by cooling it down, and then we have forces established between all the different particles. Thank you very much.